Well, good evening and a very warm Phil. We're finally here. The first. And how are we all feeling?
Oh, Phil, an amazing. You more there, mate. Fantastic to be part. It really is a pleasure.
This script. I'm going to talk about dropped for those. Is an overword. You. The legend that is Dave Clark. From the Matchplay yet. That's not in his tweet, but just
what the man does to anchor the, despite the fact he's had phenomenal. It's never changed his character. He's an inspiration and all. Just the way that he keeps presentation has been superb.
No.
It's a heartbreaking moment, to be brutally honest with you. Not just to everybody on Sky and to everybody who's watched our kids, you know he is. You know that the darts is on chips, and it is a real shame. And hopefully he's because it would be fantastic for him to go out with.
Yeah, no, very sad. Moving on, the summer series action in Milton Keynes and blitzed up as you really enjoyed it. Go on.
I've really enjoyed it too. I've been this resume. Some players actually playing on the same hockey qualification as than it has been in the past. I've really enjoyed it. We had that physical match practice.
And John, instead of random Pro Tours, would you?
Yeah, to be fair, I think it's probably the best thing to do. Let's take a look at the Grand Prix, for example, and that. I don't know what you want to call it. I'm sure the PDC will find. The drama that's being caused here so close to having something very there is the fact that this sort of stuff works. Circumstances, not sort of stuff, but I think that this appreciate, you know, but I think that this block works. He always seems to bloody fire, to be brutally honest.
5 days on the spin as well, because it doesn't have in the majors. They play day off. So
yeah, it has. And I think what I've loved about it more than anything else, the fact that the players have been marking as well. Of Snakey, the world champ, just they're marking. Do I know gobble kill. Fine about this all is the fact adapted to this. I think the players have really adapted, really back on our screens, back on for them as well, because a lot of players lost a bit of certain aspects of the match play qualification. Lots of great games and a really dramatic finish. I mean,
I can't agree more. Like, it is weird seeing the players back in that environment where obviously we have had two who I think have done a particular has really delivered this weekend as a board, as a match. He will be next in line to make that transition to perhaps more. The streams have been the standard just keeps getting better and better. Start of lockdown, but they found ways to adapt and overcome what's going on. And I think probably the sport and the governing body that has handled.
Yeah, no, absolutely 100%. All credit goes to the PDC for the way, which is the most important thing. And we've only seen a couple.
Yeah, of course. And there's a lot of
right, guys.
eyes on it. There's a lot of.
Yeah, no, and the players have embraced. They could have quite easily thrown their toys out the pram. All credit to the players for all this as well.
Yeah, the really embraced it. Although, to be fair, certain have been very fortunate to do with the players. But at the end of the day, I think they understood what they were going to get darts back on and get back playing competitively was to be in that. To have really took to it, and will it work as a stay elsewhere from hotels? I think it would, but this again, maybe we do get like an autumn series. The final moments of the match towards the Grand Prix the fires. Who knows what the criteria format's going to be? Let's series events. Let's do it. That's what will be the Grand Slam qualifier. Grand Slam qualifier.
We're on. Yeah, definitely. It's certainly going to be interesting. Right, guys. So moments of the summer series. Day one, normal service resumed. Michael van Gerwen wins. Gob.
As he does, and we were talking about this on our last show. He spoke very well to yourself before everything resumed. Obviously, he didn't play in the home series, so we didn't really get to see a lot of him. But he comes back in. He seems to have settled in with his equipment, and he got his business done early on. He picked up the first event and come back out and said, "I'm still here. I perhaps wasn't playing to my peak performance before lockdown, but he came back out with a bang." And that's what you expect from Michael van Gerwen.
Yeah, Jar, what was your thoughts? Because we hadn't seen a lot of him over lockdown. There were question marks. Had he been playing? Had he been practicing? And I think he well and truly answered them.
I don't know whether he answered them completely, Phil. I'll be honest with you now, because Will Borland has a chance to take match darts against him. If he takes him out, we're having a completely different conversation now. Certainly on day one. Day three was a bit of a different story. I think day three he really did show. Personally, if Will Borland takes out those match darts against Van Gerwen, we could be having a completely different conversation from the week. Don't get me wrong, like in the final, he did brilliantly to come back from 7-5 down, didn't allow Peter Wright to have a match dart, which I thought was absolutely crucial in that game, and really came on strong and came into the tournament. And I think what is great for the world number one at this point is that there were question marks after everything that happened throughout the first 3 months of the year. Winning the UK Open in particular, I think, is a massive step for him because he had the confidence with those darts, and it sort of shut everybody up because he hadn't won a title for 100 days. Michael van Gerwen doesn't take 100 days to win titles. He normally takes 100 seconds to win titles. Let's not take the mick here. So I think that was a very crucial moment. I think it was a very crucial moment in the sense for Van Gerwen, and it really set the week up quite well. Having the top two in the world go at it for an.
We'll skip we'll skip 2, and we'll go straight to number 3. We'll come back to 2 in a minute. But MVG did the double, and when we spoke to him in that press conference afterwards, he was slightly miffed, wasn't he, about day number 2 and the weight he had. And that almost seemed to inspire him to say, hang on a minute, you only won because of this.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right there, Phil. I think what happened was that obviously he had that because it was on a streaming board. Now, I mean, to be fair to him, if Michael van Gerwen goes and wins games of darts and he gets put onto a streaming board, he's going to have a wait. Admittedly, an hour and a half probably seemed a lot longer. And again, Mike Koivenhoven only just about beat him. So I think you're right in that sense as well, Phil. I think that he was really narked. You could tell as well on his Twitter feed. Actually, he posted on Twitter that he was a bit surprised at the weight as well. So I think that was a little bit of a warning shot to the PDC, it's the tournament director, to go, excuse me, do not do that again. But no, and I think that again, that final was interesting again because Jose de Sousa goes 2-0 up. He has darts for 3-0. Again, we could be having a different conversation if he hits that double top, it goes to 3-0. So the point that I'm making is not that Michael van Gerwen's losing it, because he's not. Michael van Gerwen is not losing any sense of his aura whatsoever. The point is that they are getting chances against him. I think he's still having that tinkering phase with the darts. I know he's found in the lockdown stage of his particularly, but I think he's still having that tinkering phase of darts. Whether he goes with a set of darts for the World Match Play is very interesting indeed.
Definitely. Right, Gob, your chance to come in here. Day number 2, Ryan Joyce put the cat amongst the pigeons and catapulted himself into the World Match Play for the first time. And I'm not being disrespectful here, but this sort of like came from nowhere because none of us saw Ryan Joyce winning day number 2.
No, I think if you'd asked Ryan Joyce before the start of the day, he wouldn't have seen himself winning day number 2. It's a very left field win. Obviously, everybody on the Pro Tour is more than capable of doing so. Ryan's one that we've seen over the last couple of years has got a very, very good top level game, but it's when he's not quite there or thereabouts that he's been a little bit petulant at times. He's wasted a few darts. You sometimes questioned his attitude when he is on the hockey and things aren't going his way, but he put that all right. He strung together 7 good performances and picked up a title, and he's on his way to stay in the hotel for another week so he can play at Milton Keynes again for the match play.
Yeah, I suppose it was just nice because he's so down to earth. It's unreal, and I don't think he realizes how good he potentially could be. He just downplays himself all the time.
I think there's a few that do
However,
that, and I think.
No, I agree that there are a few that do that. However, another year on, and it wouldn't be the same if this man didn't win a PDC title. The machine, James Wade, who has hibernated in the world's top 10 for nearly 2 decades. It's ridiculous. Rocks up. Day number 4. Yeah, I'm winning this one. Thank you very much. And there was signs, Jar. He'd go to sleep. But on day number 4, he put it all together in a complete performance.
I don't know whether I just want to defer to Gob at this point because he's smiling like a Cheshire cat right now. The fact that James Wade has won a Pro Tour. Gob, you could have this one, mate. I'll let you have this one. The floor's yours, pal.
It's the same thing I've said about Wadey for the last 18 months. It was a very James Wade performance. Like he said himself, he went a bit under the radar, and he likes that atmosphere and environment to do so when people aren't. To go on and win it on day 4 was huge because on day 3 he was 2-0 up against Van Gerwen, and I thought, here we go, this is Wadey back, and didn't get anywhere near it. But he punished every opportunity he got on day 4, and that's the most lethal James Wade thing you can see going. Like, he is the most clinical third dart in hand hitter of a double on the tour, and that wins in matches.
I'll say this now quickly
before
we go and talk about. No, sorry. I just quickly say this about James Wade in particular. You could see that there was, like you said, there were signs happening there in those games in particular. I think that semi-final against Ian White, there were a couple of huge checkouts that we just knew were going, and like that's when if Wade is in that form of the fact that I know that I'm going to hit this checkout regardless of what you say. Thank you very much. Then I think the field's in trouble. The radar massively across the whole format and across the whole of the world rankings. It's mental. The fact that he's won 10 PDC titles or 9, however you want to count it, but major titles. But Wade will still be there or thereabouts every single tournament, regardless. You have to play well to get rid of James Wade.
Agreed. Day number 5 wouldn't be completed without the world champion getting involved. Peter Wright, and again, we saw bits that arguably he should have won 2 of these, but the mind games have certainly started for Blackpool. MVG's already started. It doesn't see Peter Wright as his main threat, he says, but Peter Wright rocks up, glasses, changes his glasses back to the original glasses, changes darts, plays up to the semi-final, then casually says to us, these aren't going to work on the TV, and goes back and wins the event. When's he going to learn, though? There's only so much tinkering you can do and get away with it.
Well, he said it in his interview afterwards with the PDC. Like the fact that you just averaged again in the same way of 99 after going and pinging in 109 average in your semi-final against Wayne Jones. How can you be unhappy with that? You've also just topped the Summer Series Order of Merit, for Christ's sake. So I'll be honest though, it's interesting you talk about the mind games because the last time that we were at an event that was back in Liverpool for the World Matchplay for press conference, Phil, and said Michael van Gerwen is the 4th best player in the world. Gerwin Price is up there, and I think he said Gary Anderson or Nathan Aspinall. One of the two. I can't remember who it was. Those mind games between those two, Gob. Yeah, Nathan Aspinall. Those mind games between the two of them, Gob, is going to be fascinating. And I'm really hoping we get those two in the final of the World Matchplay.
Even if we don't, it's good to have this rivalry and this character between the players. Since Phil's gone, we've sort of missed it a little bit. They tried to push the MVG Gary a couple of years back, and Gary Anderson didn't really want to get caught up in that. He just tried to go about his business. But Peter Wright seems more than willing to get stuck into this now. And Gerwyn Price isn't afraid to have a say. MVG's not afraid to have a say, and Peter Wright's not afraid to have a say. And these three could go on and push each other, and their games are 50% mental now. They're no longer only about what the players can produce on the board, because these boys can get a victory over the other before they've even started.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's interesting to see where they all kind of go from here, because at the moment they're all trying to score brownie points against each other, which is quite funny. But we're going to come to you guys individually now. We're going to start with you, Jar. 2 things that you've been massively impressed with, or 2 players you've been massively impressed with, and 2 that you've been disappointed with, and then we'll come to you afterwards, Gob. So, Jar.
I think the biggest, expecting a lot more, that he really did in the Michael Smith should have done. He got to board 5, and that's my problem with Michael Smith. Year would be able to kick on and win titles again. There. And Joyce, because coming through today for Ryan Joyce, and he did pretty side of his win is Devin Peterson. Going, goodness me, Devin Peterson is playing some has to happen for Devon at some. It has to happen, and he's playing. It'd be great to see him, but it would have been, at least the final have a shot at winning it.
Yeah, so I'm going. He's really struggled. He doesn't seem to be able to perform. I'd like to see him performing that a little bit better. Switch, and is it a little bit too late now? But that's one that you're looking at thinking. Chris Dobie. We see a lot of Chris Dobie through lockdown. Local competitions. His name seemed to be absolutely everywhere. And we know he was unfortunate. Obviously, haven't gone ahead. And he took a hit on some of his ranking money. He removed that over the period. One of the ones that would really push on from outside of that Pro Tour order of merit. A little bit too much to do over the last couple of days. Couple of players I've been impressed with. Jose de Souza, for one. He is definitely one of the unseeded players I'd want to be avoiding. He's just got and his combination finishing checkouts now, and if he keeps on doing that, he doesn't need to learn how to keep doing bits like he's doing. And my other player I've been probably Peter Wright, to go and top the order of merit by only winning one of the events. It was said on comms earlier that today was the 13th Pro Tour of the year, effectively. That's an outstanding level of consistency from the world champion. But those performances in just keeps that prize money event. So yeah, that's where I'd go.
Well, guys, we're back to all three of us again. Now, here we are. Now, we haven't really seen this yet, everyone that's watching. We haven't had a chance to, with everything that's going on. The draw for the World Match Play is complete. Now, off the top of your head, we'll come to you with first, Jar. What's the couple of standouts that really leap out off of this graphic for you?
Sorry, I've just genuinely, this is the first time I've seen this draw because we were getting prepared, ladies and gentlemen. Would you actually believe that we were actually preparing for this show? It's mind-boggling. This is new for us, Gob, from our old show, definitely. There's one that obviously stands out, and it's that top right-hand corner of the draw. There's two that stand out straight away for me. Glendoran against Jeffrey Desvan, that could be an absolute cracker. But the tie of the round, for me, no questions asked, Peter Wright against Jose de Sousa. Gob has just absolutely hit the nail on the head there. Very rarely he does that, but there we go. He has managed to get that one spot on about Jose in this tournament, and it is the world champion that he's got first up. That could be an absolute cracker if them two get going.
Gob, over to you. What jumps out?
There's a couple I'm looking at. Recent, well, I say recent, but television performances suggest Danny Noppert's definitely got the big stage game now to have a crack at a go in price. Johnny Clayton, Michael Smith. Johnny Clayton is probably one of the most underrated players on tour. The consistency of the man is ridiculous. But the one that I really fancy, apart from the ones that Jar's mentioned, is Rob Cross, Gabriel Clemens. For me, Clemens is the German number one. It's only a matter of time before the rankings reflect that. He had a really deep run opening couple of days. And he's got no fear. Again, he's another one of the up-and-coming players that, because it's a 2-year ranking list, the rankings, I don't think, reflect current performances enough or ability. And he is well up there with the rest of the boys in this competition. And he could be a real threat to Rob Cross's defence.
No, definitely. Again, I'm looking at it. There's a few that I'm looking at, maybe not in terms of blockbuster games, but what means something to the match play. And Gary Anderson against Justin Pipe. Now, if this was in normal circumstances, it wouldn't bat an eyelid to me, but it does for a few reasons. One, that Gary is defending winners' money. Two, Justin Pipe's pace. And three, the most important thing, there's going to be no fans there. So that plays massively into the hands of Justin Pipe. If he's fit, we'll throw that one out there now. If he can get over this elbow injury in time, that's a massive potential banana skin for Ando for me in that one. And again, the other one, which we never know, there's a few, when I look at this, we don't know what we're going to get from certain players. And the Summer Series taught me that. And Adrian Lewis, Steve Beaton, because Steve Beaton's pace will suit both of these players. But from what we saw in the Summer Series personally, it says to me, Adrian hasn't done a lot of work during lockdown. He can say that he has on interviews and everything like that, but when it comes down to the performances that we saw, 77 averages, 83 averages, 85 averages, tells me that he's not put a lot in. And he's ranked number 14 now, holding on to top 16 by the skin of his teeth right now.
Yeah, so I want to come in here because I've just noticed a couple of other ties down that bottom right-hand corner as well. Nathan Aspel against Dimitri van der Berg could be very, very interesting. Remember, of course, they met at the World Championship quarter-final stage last year where he survived a scare, did our Nathan. Dimi was giving him a good game at the start of that game. And Ian White against Joe Cullen for the second straight year. Remember what happened last year? White whitewashed him on that stage in Blackpool in the afternoon session. So, again, there's some stories everywhere, really, again. It could be very, very interesting. That bottom quarter of the draw, I'm really, really intrigued to see who comes through that because I can't call anybody at the moment.
I think the whole tide, there's stories all over the place. Let's be brutally honest. If Michael van Gerwen could have handpicked his first two games, that wouldn't have been far off it. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful because they're all fabulous players to get there. However, if you could pick Brendan Dolan and then Simon Whitlock or Ryan Joyce, out of the players that you could have got, you'd have taken that all day long.
Also, as well, remember, Michael
Yeah, I
Van
think
Gerwen hasn't
he'll
really
be very
performed
happy
well.
he's avoided Glenn Durrant for one.
Yeah, and Michael Van Gerwen hasn't performed well he hasn't performed well at the match play for probably since 2016. Went out in the quarterfinals to Phil Taylor in 2017 on his last run and got beaten in the first round by Jeffrey Desvan in 2018, and then obviously probably one of, if not the game of the tournament against Glenn Durrant last year in Blackpool. So he's desperate for a run at the match play. Is our Michael? He needs the money, of course.
Well, it's a double-edged sword with Michael because he's not defending anything. He's world number one by an absolute country mile. Comes to the second biggest ranking event there is behind the World Championships, and he's not defending any money. So it's an absolute paradise for him. Well,
good luck,
to be fair, we touched on it in the summer series, but I think that the match play plays into his hands as well. And I know it's a boring thing to say, but he's going to take some stopping because he's only got to play once a day. He can get himself up for that big game, go in, get what he needs to get done, off he goes. And there was times during this summer series he was unplayable, absolutely unplayable. I think there was a 4-leg blitz. He went 11, 11, 12, 11 or something like that. And if he can do in those mini thrusts up on the stage, you could be 5-0 down at the first break in 5 minutes and George Noble or whoever's calling it's going, what's happened here?
Yeah, I think that's his pedigree. Once he's on stage, he can literally take games away from you in those little mini sessions between the TV breaks. That's how the players have to approach it now because that's how it works. They are little mini sessions. It's not just a straight race to 10 or whatever it will be later on in the contest. I think that quarter is very interesting overall. Gary or James Wade potentially later on should set it up for a good game. But if he does come through that quarter relative ease, you do have to be worried if you're the rest of the field.
Well, I'm with you there, God, because if he goes to that extended format, Phil, as we've always talked about, I always say, and we've always said on previous places that we've worked, that Michael Van Gerwen has to be beaten in the early rounds if you're going to take him out of a tournament. It's very rare that you can take him out of the final or a quarterfinal or a semi-final. Admittedly, Peter Wright did that, but Van Gerwen had opportunities that he didn't quite capitalise on in that final. If playing Gary Anderson and James Wade over that longer format, best of 16 legs, 17 legs, it's going to be very difficult because, as Gob's already said, you can switch off for a few legs if he wishes to, and he can then go back and turn on a 5-0 blitz like we know he can.
Yeah, I think this is interesting as well. With the standout ties, the summer series against the rankings are so close. What seeds are you worried for going into this?
Simon Whitlock for a start. He's one that I'm looking at. I'm wondering how he's clinging on to that top 16 spot. He's been there for a long, long time. I don't think he's playing to the level of a top 16 player. He seems to always just do enough, and that's the biggest compliment you can play the man at the minute. He is consistent. He's just doing enough to keep himself there. But when he does get to these big events, you're still missing that big performance from him. So if you're George as well, you're more than happy with that draw. I think Whitlock is. I think they're both happy with that draw. I think it's a nice draw for both players. Obviously, you don't want to look too far ahead, but the next round after, you would run into Michael. The other seed I am quite concerned for will probably be Michael Smith. I think Johnny Clayton's more than got the game. He is a top 16 player. And yeah, Bully just hasn't quite delivered. He's got that final from last year to go and follow up, as you like. And yeah, I just think Johnny's got the game to really take a seed on.
Jar, who's in danger for you?
For me, I think a big one that we've underlooked is Mensur Suljovic against Jamie Hughes. He also has been putting in some really good stuff over the last few days, in particular in Milton Keynes. And remember, Suljovic is defending a final this time round. You're talking about Gary defending winners' money. Yeah. Mensur Suljovic is defending a final. And I don't know whether he'll be able to do that this time round because Jamie Hughes is a very, very good player. Another potential one that I'm in a little bit of trouble with. I want to say Peter Wright, but I'm not going to because he's the world champion. But Jose de Sousa, if you wanted one player, as Gov's already said, and I completely agree with you, not to play, is Jose de Sousa. But I can't say Peter Wright's in trouble because he's the world champion. I just can't bring it in me to say that. One player I am actually a little bit concerned about, potentially could be, even though he made a final this week, is Dave Chisnall. Because if Vincent van der Voort gets going, we all know that he can go and ping 180s for fun. We know he can go and check out big scores. And Dave Chisnall, at times, can get a little bit slumped, to get a little bit down on himself. And if the game's not going his way, he can't do that. So I think Chizzy could be in a bit of bother as well. If Vincent can play that top game that we know he can, Chizzy could be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
especially if you
for
put
me,
the
the one,
pressure early.
yeah, 100%. Well, we've said it from day one, and it showed in the final as well. That action under pressure does not hold up.
So, not at all.
It
was a tough watch. He's jerking at it from miles away. The release point is totally different. As the visit goes on, it's just a bit all over the place. How on earth he manages to hit the 180s with the consistency he does with that action is beyond me, because the lack of consistency just does not hold up. And you can see why he goes from top of the world averages to just drop off out of nowhere, sometimes in the middle of games, because it just does not hold up the minute you put it under any pressure.
No, I agree. And the other one that I think's gone under the radar a little bit is Rob Cross. He's been all or nothing in the summer series. When he was good, he was very good. But again, action-wise, when he's off and it's not quite there, that dart goes low an awful lot. I think the only saving grace is I'm not completely sold on Gabriel Clemens yet. And I know that sounds daft because everyone raves on about it, but on TV, I'm not sold yet. So Rob might get a little bit lucky in that respect.
I've never seen Gov get more upset about that comment ever in my life. But before I let you come back at Gov on that one, before you come back on this one, genuine question to the pair of you here. I've said this probably since he won the World Championships. Here's the question: what is a Rob Cross? Is it a man who can go and basically go and top the Players' Championship order merit in his debut year, go and do bits on the Euro Tour, and then go and win the World Championship? Or is it the Rob Cross that has played with his B game for the majority of the last couple of years, or C game, and goes and wins a match play just because he's got that much God-given ability? That's my question about Cross for probably, I'd say, about over 2 years now, maybe just over 18 months.
I think a bit of both. Knowing Rob quite well, it doesn't come out an awful lot, but he tinkers too much with his darts. We're talking subtle changes here that wouldn't stand out on TV. And I actually quite like the dart he turned up with in Milton Keynes with the new grip and the new groove. But yeah, I'm with you on this. I'm not quite sure where Rob sits in all this at the moment, because one day he'll turn up and look $1 million like he did at the match play at times last year. Then other times he'll turn up, lose first round, and we're like, what happened there?
I mean, it's a nice problem to have, being able to turn up last year, losing the Premier League final, win the match play, and win the European Championships. And not once did anybody pick Rob Cross for any of those events, because he just did not look like he was carrying the form for it.
I 100% agree there. 100% agree that. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think this is gonna be a backhanded compliment, but Rob might turn into the new James Wade, where he sweeps up when the big hitters, MVG, your Peter Wrights, your Gerwyn Prices, go out. And I mean that in a backhanded compliment way.
God, you got a comment about Clemens.
Dolan and White have both been in that position before, though, on the Pro Tour, where they were just consistent and swept up when the big boys have disappeared. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility for Cross.
100%.
But
I'm guessing you're still not happy about
what you got on about?
I'm just not sold yet.
How?
Just not.
I don't know. He's won a World
I just look
Series.
at the biggest game. I was there that day in Germany, and we think that Gerwyn Price had it bad sometimes. That was nothing to what Rob Cross got on that stage in the semi-final.
Yeah.
It was. It made Gerwyn Price's booze look like just stroll around the park. But I just look at Clemens on the floor. He's amazing. I'm not arguing that. He throws some amazing darts. But on the TV, he finds a way to win good games that he's in complete control of. No more so than the Glenn Durrant game at the Grand Slam last year when he had Duzza in all sorts of issues. Should have comfortably beat him. Bombed. World Championship. Bombed. So I'm not sold on Clemens just yet.
So you look, some people just take to it really well. He's blatantly got the ability. No matter what the rankings say, I refer to him as the German number one. I think he is a far better player than Max Hopp. I don't think he's carrying the pressure of the nation like Max Hopp does. And I just think his top level game is far better than what Max Hopp can produce. He's just got to do that on TV once. He's one of them. You're just waiting to click into place. Him and Christoph Ratajski is another one of my favourites who I can see going very, very deep for a long, long time for the next couple of years.
But then coming off the back,
all I'll say to that
here's
is
something for you. Yeah, sorry for just a quick one. The fact
That's
that
right.
it is essentially a Pro Tour event, the match play now, behind closed doors. And this is what we're saying when we say, is there going to be a different winner? Is there going to be a winner that we don't normally see because it's in that Pro Tour conditions? That's surely where the likes of Clemens, Ratajski, potentially even Ian White can thrive, surely, when they don't have that massive crowd behind them, even in front of the big TV cameras.
I don't think it is going to be completely quiet in there. The rumour mill is they are going to pipe crowd noise even when the players are playing, so they feel that there's something there. So it might not be the silence that we think it is. I think Matt Porter said it on I think it was on the Dart Show podcast when he was on there, that they were looking at the idea of playing crowd noise through the tannoy system. So the players, it's not quiet, so there is background noise and everything like that. So although, yes, there physically won't be a real crowd there, it might not be stone cold silence like we're expecting. I can see Jar's brain going. I can see the wheels turning.
It's interesting, but I still think Clemens came through the Super League in a similar environment. That sort of production, semi-stage.
And then bombed in a big game against Nico Kurtz.
Yeah, standard.
the list is getting bigger.
Nick's going well.
There are levels to this. Nico, the thing is though, can I just say quickly, Nico Kurtz, by the way, that performance in the Super League was mint. And like, if he's playing again at the World Championships, obviously as he is, he could be a proper danger if he continues the way he's going, because he could be a talk-on holder sooner rather than later. Fingers crossed. He's got the ability.
I expect him and Clemens to be in the German World Cup shirt very soon.
100%. I think he's mid. But I'm interested to see what the PDC do and how they approach it, because they always find a way to make the best of a bad situation. And I think we're still going to get the walk-ons, we're going to have the big stage production. I'm quite interested to see if the crowd noise works, so it's not an email sent out from the PDC yesterday to the fans. I don't know if you boys got it as well, that they're going to do like a watch along, like they have at the football thing where they've got screens and everything like that watching along. So hopefully that Gezi will get a big finish and turn to make it feel.
If there's any player capable of finding.
Yeah, just nod like he always does whenever he hits a 180, because he just turns around and he just nods at the camera. He's like that. Every time he hits a 180, he just outshot and just give it the big fist, or just turn around like, "Whoa!" I just want something normal about it. That's what I want.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it, guys. And like you say, with Online Darts here, we will be covering the match play. We don't know the exact logistics. There will be 10 days of absolute belting coverage from us here at Online Darts. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure spending 47 minutes chatting Summer Series, Dave Clark, and the match play. Like we said, everyone, this is going to be a weekly feature, either Sunday evening or Monday if the majors roll over, because obviously the finals are on a Sunday. So it's going to be weekly. And we're hopefully that long term, once this bloody virus does one, that it won't be on. We've got a nice little studio backdrop all planned, and it will physically acting in person, social distancing with the media.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big important moment. Yeah.
It's first pod, The Lounge, will be out this week as well, if you want to listen to, and stay across all our platforms.